I don't know if you can hear it, but our neighbors upstairs have a child which is 4 years old and just discovered running. Anyway, my friends, hello, my name is Becky and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the new video. I was thinking how to start this sit-down videos again and talking about books because I haven't been here for a while, and obviously during the time I did read a couple books and I just couldn't really figure how to approach this, whether to speak about like one big wrap-up and mention all the books or maybe just speak about some of them. So I decided that that's what I'm gonna do, and hopefully today I can have a short and hopefully sweet video about two books by Coco Mellors. And I think most of you do know these books because I must admit I am a little bit late to the game. These are the two books in question. Blue Sisters and Cleopatra and Frankenstein. At the time when I bought this book, it's been a while since I purchased a new book, and I thought that I'm gonna go to the bookshop and treat myself and get something. I didn't know what at the time. And I found that Cleopatra and Frankenstein after hearing a lot of, you know, like good reviews and people really loving the book, so I thought why not to buy just both books and see what's the fuss about. And I finally read them, and I must admit it was maybe 2 months ago, month or two ago, before all this movement happened, when I finished reading the books, and I thought that that's what I'm gonna start with today. That is probably even the bigger reason why I'm recording this video, because I'm curious to hear your opinion on these books, because I personally admit from the very beginning that Blue Sisters was definitely my favorite out of these two, but after reading a lot of like reviews and watching different videos, I discovered that people used to love Cleopatra and Frankenstein much more. So I'm very curious to hear your opinion, and without further ado, I would just start. Coco Mellors wrote Cleopatra and Frankenstein as her debut novel, and I believe that now she is writing her third book. And from what I read, Cleopatra and Frankenstein should currently be in works for a series adaptation, and the author herself should be writing the script. For those of you who haven't read the book, the basic premise is that we have few characters. In my opinion, this is a story mostly about the characters. I would not say that there is much of a story per se in this book, but it's mostly focusing on people and relationship and characters. Our two main characters are called Cleo and Frank. Cleo is 24-year-old, I believe, 24 years old, originally British, student who now lives in New York, and she is pursuing her dream of becoming an artist. And Frank, on the other hand, is 40 years old, and he is already having a successful business in advertisement. And as it happens, these two meet at the very beginning of the book. At the very first few pages, they fall in love and they get married. For one reason, it's gonna help Cleo with her visa and green card, but also because they love each other. And that's basically the basic premise of the book. From now on, the story follows these two people, their relationship, how they navigate life and relationship together. Also, because of different problems or issues or baggage they are carrying from their past. There is lots of trigger warnings to be aware of as well, such as alcoholism, mostly on the Frank side, depression on Cleo's side, and a lot of like abuse and self-harm. As I mentioned, there is quite a lot of characters, and starting with my personal review, I think that this is something that slightly bothered me about the book, because besides these two characters, there is way too many characters, I think. We have Cleo's flatmate and some of her other friends, we have a lot of Frank's friends, and I would say that the book dives quite deep into these other narrations and the other people's stories and lives, and for me at points it was a little bit unnecessary, and I was that curious about them because I felt it just really takes a lot of focus away from the main characters. When I was reading it, I was actually thinking at the time that it's a lovely book, it's a lovely read, but I don't think I will remember in few months much of this book, and that's true, I didn't. I literally had to Google a little bit before I sat down with the camera. One thing I really like was writing at some times, especially at the very beginning when we had the opening dialogue between Cleo and Frank. I found this dialogue to be very good, because it's been a while since I read a story about, you know, like two people who eventually fall in love and their opening meetup or dialogue. This one was really good in my opinion. I did not think it was a cliche as it sometimes is. Another thing that bothered me slightly is that I have a feeling that I read or saw or heard something like this before. You have two people navigating life together. They all have a lot of baggage and struggles, and they are just trying to deal with it throughout the story. For me, there was not really a big of a significant moment or some twist. It was something I was really missing there. But still, I enjoyed the book. Overall, I would give this maybe 3 stars. I'm quite curious to see the series. It's something I would like to watch, because I do like to do this book versus film or series comparison, so I'll definitely watch it. But I would love to know your opinion, because I know many people love this book, and for me, not bad, but also not great. So let me know. And continuing with the second book, Blue Sisters, again by Coco Mellors, obviously, I must say that this one was much better in my opinion. Also maybe because I am not an only child, I do have a sister. And in this story we have 4 sisters: Avery, Bonnie, Nikki, who passed away, and then Lucky. Avery is the eldest sister who used to really struggle in her past because she used to have a lot of troubles with alcoholism and drugs. However, something happened in her life and she now is a successful lawyer and she lives with her wife. And apparently it seems that she is very happy. However, as we later discover, there is quite a lot of struggles she is dealing with even now. Bonnie, the second sister, used to be a very successful boxer, or had her career was a good path on her career. Oh my goodness, English. However, there was one very unfortunate defeat she experienced, and after that she decided to step away from boxing, and she is now working as a bouncer at LA nightclub. Then Nikki, who passed away, and then the youngest sister Lucky, who at 14, she had her big breakthrough as a model, and she is now still doing the modeling a couple years later, but she is struggling a lot with some certain things modeling can bring with itself, such as abuses of different type, or alcoholism and drugs. On top of every struggle every sister has, basically the one thread which connects all of them is their dealing with the loss of their sister Nikki, and we follow each of the sister and how basically they are navigating life and grief. And whilst each of the sisters is living somewhere else in different place, eventually they come together and they meet because their parents want to sell the apartment they used to live in as children, which also carries still a lot of memories. So that would be the basic premise. I would say there is obviously a little bit more of the story than in Cleopatra and Frankenstein. And I must say that I enjoyed this a little bit more because it's still a story about characters. We have obviously their sisters, each of them with different story and different characters in their life, which also I would say get enough space, but less than in here. I really start to compare these two books, which is not necessarily what I want to do, but just to give you an example, here I felt in Cleopatra and Frankenstein that there were really a lot of characters with unnecessarily long backgrounds and storylines, while in this book there is still a lot of characters. It's still a story about characters and people, but they would get like the right amount of space in the book, if that makes sense. And that's something I really enjoy because it did not really take a focus away from the sisters. Also, what I enjoy is the writing style, because the book is written in a way that you have basically each chapter as one chapter is always writing about one sister. So you have a chapter about Avery and her life and everything, then Bonnie, then Lucky, and then it's changed like this over and over. And that's something I really enjoy when the book is written like this, from different point of view and stuff. One thing I really like about this is the way it was written, that it really gives you space to relate. I don't actually know how is it for people who have no siblings or to people who have more than one sibling, because I come from an experience of having just one sister, so I don't really know how is it for other people. But for me, one aspect I really like about the book was the ability to relate to many situations from the book when it comes to sisters' relationship, not necessarily other struggles, because luckily nor my sister or I ever struggled with, you know, like drugs or things like this. But when it comes to relating to the relationship of the sister and how you can in 1 minute, you know, have this lovely conversation, and then the next second, boom, you are shouting at each other, you don't even know how it happened, and then everything gets, you know, fine again. I could really relate. Also, what I liked is that I genuinely care about the characters, which again is not the case in this one for me, because here I must say, for a second, in here I did not necessarily hate the characters, but I did not like them. And this, now when thinking about it, even now when speaking about this book, I kind of feel like this is very, I would say, like blunt experience for me, that I did not really love or hate the characters. I just really read the book, you know. But with this book, I really related to the characters, and I really liked them, and I really cared about them. At some points, I was really pissed with certain characters, but I feel like that was the good writing part, you know, that you can either relate, you can have a feelings towards the characters, you either like them or you hate them, or they irritate you, or they make you angry, or they make you think about things. And that's what I experienced with this book and what I really liked. And I think that's it, my friends. Very short. I feel like there is not that much to say to this book, and with this one I really liked it. I like the characters, I like the storyline, I like how everything was sort of like connected, because dealing with the loss of a sister obviously affected each of them differently, and each of them were dealing with it differently, because one of the sister was the one who actually found Nikki when she passed. And then it's very interesting to read about something like this. It was very well written in a way that you can really get into characters' head, if that makes sense. So yes, please, my friends, let me know if you read any of these and which one did you like more and why, because I would very much like to know. And if you haven't read them, if you are curious to read them, I would like to know. And hopefully, I think the baby went for a walk outside because it's been quiet here. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna keep reading a little bit, and I wish you a lovely day, and I will see you again with a new video soon, hopefully. Bye bye, take care.